بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد, respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. We continue with verse 10 of Surah Al-Hujrat. In the previous verse, we had discussed how important it is that if there's a quarrel between two parties or two groups of the believers, that we try and make peace between the two of them. But if there's one that is not giving in and is acting oppressively, then we must rise against that oppressor. Continuing this message of brotherhood, the next verse elaborates on this further. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. Indeed, or surely, the believers are brothers of one another. So make peace and harmony between them. And have consciousness of Allah's presence so that He may show you mercy. There is no doubt that the highest bond of affection and love exists in the system of brotherhood between believers. Someone asks why isn't the highest system of affection and love between a father and the son, for example? A father and son may have an unbelievable love, but it's not equal. And the idea that the father's stature is higher than that of the child. Whereas brothers, when they are brothers in belief, are on an equal and level playing field. And therefore, when they are able to master the brotherhood between each other, it is the most beautiful aspect of building an ethical society. All of the great leaders who have sought to build ethical societies, their first words concerned the importance of understanding brotherhood between each other. Name me a philosopher of ethics, or a mystic who talks about ethics, or a great political leader who wanted to instill ethics, and you'll always find that their words in the beginning of their mission are related to brotherhood. The Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, in his lovely lines when he says, love for your brother what you would love for yourself, is a pivotal statement in Christian thought, and was repeated on many occasions in Islamic thought as well. Love for your brother what you would love for yourself. In our communities sometimes, we don't necessarily love for our brothers what we know we love for ourselves. Because there's a sense that I don't necessarily want them to share a piece of the cake as well. If I find, for example, a certain area where there are good plots of land to be invested in, or nice apartments, I know that this is a good investment. But do I love for my brother what I would love for myself? Not necessarily. I'd rather than my brother, if they ask me about this question sometimes, I would rather say to them that, well, to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure about it, even though I bought 6 apartments in the block. But Allah is the best of planners on these things. Likewise, you find, for example, someone like Machiavelli. Machiavelli used to say A good leader stands beside his men, not above his men. A good leader stands beside his men, not above his men. He is the leader, there's no doubt. But his humility brings him to the level of his brothers. Martin Luther King, I have a dream that one day, on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will come together on the table of brotherhood. In other words, each and every practitioner of an ethical society and builder of an ethical society in their own way has sought to discuss brotherhood. And the religion of Islam, as I elaborated on a couple of days ago, sought to establish the bonds of brotherhood at different levels. Many times when you hear the concept of ukhuwah, you automatically imagine community. Islam said, wait, why are you going so far? First, your own blood brother you need to show affection and love to. In our Muslim communities today, how many brothers do we have who do not speak to each other? How many? And do you know that they've not spoken to each other for 10 years, 15 years? Petty dispute, business dispute, wives dispute, petty disputes. But if I can't master my relationship with my blood brother, how am I going to go and build an ethical community of brotherhood? The first crime in humanity was between two blood brothers. Habil and Qabil. They're true blood brothers. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving us a message. Even before I told Adam to talk about brotherhood in his community, I first wanted Adam to understand and to see that even between Habil and Qabil, unless we organize the blood relations, we're not going to organize the community relations. How can I lead a community if me and my own blood brother don't like each other? Aren't I first meant to bring my blood brother and at least agree to disagree? Isn't it? Rather than not saying salam to each other, rather than bad-mouthing each other. And Qabil and Habil's story is interesting. Why? Have you noticed when two brothers quarrel with each other, the one who's in the right sometimes acts more humble than the one who's in the wrong. The one who's in the wrong is the foul-mouthed one, raising his voice and wants to fight and punch. And the one who's in the right is the more humble one. The family looks at the more humble one as the weaker one, isn't it? Do you notice that? If you're the more humble brother, you're the weaker brother. The other one, they're all terrified to speak to him, because they see him as the strong brother. The other one sometimes can look like a walking animal on earth. But we have to call him a human for respect. So what happens is, people look at the more humble one, they say, you're weak. But Allah switches this around in the Quran. Qabil says to Habil, La aqtulannak. I'm going to kill you, that's it. My father chooses you as his successor. It's very interesting, even in a community of 4 people, Allah still needs to announce a successor. It's only 4 people. You still need a successor announced, and you're still going to have a fight with Allah's choice. So what happened on the day of Ghadir is not unusual. So he says, La aqtulannak. His reply is fantastic. لَإِنْ بَسَطْتَ إِلَيَّ يَدَكَ لِتَقْتُلَنِي مَا أَنَا بِبَاسِطٍ يَدِي إِلَيْكَ لِأَقْتُلَكَ إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. If you put forward your hand to strike me, I will never put forward my hand to strike you. Not because I'm scared of you. My sisters and your sisters think I'm scared. My cousins and your cousins think I'm scared. It's not I'm scared of you, I'm scared of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That there's a day when He'll say to me, you can't observe relations with your family, I cut my relations with you on this day. This is it. In our eyes, when we give in to our blood brother, people look at us as weak. But we know very well that there's a day Allah brings up all the cases of injustice. Then you found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't stop there. He said, now look at Yusuf and his brothers. So do not think if in your family there is a brotherly dispute, don't think that your family is the worst of family. No, it can be in the family of a prophet of Allah. Every one of us is tested in something different. Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam is a prophet of God. His father is a prophet of God. Yet still his brothers want to throw him in the well and kill him. Brothers from the same father want to throw you in the well and kill you. Because their understanding of a conception of ukhuwah was more concerned with ukhuwah in the community, but did not realize first, let's begin it at home. And you know, when ukhuwah is practiced properly, it's a beautiful sight. Hussein sees Abbas on the ground. And Abbas is in his final moments. And all he asks from him is, you've never called me by my name, you've always called me Sayyidi Aba Abdullah. That's it. Allow me the honor of hearing you saying, Akhi Aba Abdullah, Akhi Hussein. I have never in my life, never, and I ask anyone to look at any empire, Greek, Roman, Persian, Arab, have you ever in your life seen a human being who does not call his older brother his whole life by Akhi? Always Sayyidi Ya Hussein. Sayyidi, my master. That's the beauty of brotherhood, isn't it? That it begins with blood brotherhood. The second level which it went on to in the religion of Islam was the religion said, not only do we have blood brotherhood, we also have brotherhood with humanity as a whole. With the people of the book, for example, with the Christians and the Jews. When the Quran came and said, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا, that ta'alaw was saying, oh people of the book, come. إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ أَلَّا نَعْبُدَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَلَا نُشْرِكْ بِهِ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَتَّخِذْ بَعْضُنَا بَعْضًا أَرْبَابًا مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ. In Surah 3 verse 64. The Quran was saying, the second type of brotherhood is with your brothers in humanity. You know where Amir al-Mu'mineen says people are of two types, they are either your brothers in faith or your equals in humanity. The Christian has more in common with me than differences. Adam in common, Nuh in common, Ibrahim in common, Dawood in common, Sulaiman in common, Moses in common, Jesus in common. There's more in common than there are differences. Some of us look at them as non-Muslims. And we put blame on other religions. Firstly, they are our equals in humanity. Secondly, Imam turns this around when he says, our enemies are not the Christians and the Jews. Our enemies, our own ignorance. We blame the others. Whereas Amir al-Mu'mineen's vision was much wider than ours. There was a vision that these are our brothers in humanity. And that's why when you look at the history of Ahlul Bayt, you'll find on many occasions, many an occasion, that the door was always open for the Christian brethren to come towards the religion, even if they don't come towards the religion, at least to learn about the religion. When the event of Mubahala was finished and the Christians said, okay, you are right, and we recognize we're not going to enter Mubahala with you. Can we live in your state as Christians? If they weren't our equals in humanity, Rasulullah would say to them, leave, leave. There's no place for Christians here. And you have some countries in the world today who actually don't allow Christians to have churches. If you go to Saudi Arabia, for example, there's no Christian churches in Saudi Arabia. there's just about our following in Saudi Arabia. So the Christians shouldn't be too unhappy. We've just about got a couple of places in Saudi Arabia, alhamdulillah. And even then we have to conceal 99% of our majlis. But hey, they are the servants of Mecca and Medina, so we have to. So in that time, they asked Rasulullah, can we live? Rasulullah says, you have your Kaaba at Najran, the Kaaba of Najran? Said yes. Rasulullah said, that Kaaba remains there, you worship there, all you have to do is pay a jizya, tax. What's the tax? Rasulullah gave them the specifics which I've discussed in previous majalis, about how much of their belongings go to the poor. Ali, come and write the document. It's interesting how Ali ibn Abi Talib writes all the political documents of Rasulullah, but when Rasulullah dies, he's politically inexperienced. This is a very funny concept, I find. Hudaybiyah, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Mubahala, Ali ibn Abi Talib. But when Rasulullah dies, Ali ibn Abi Talib is politically inexperienced. How many more courses do you need to go through? So what happens is, that when he writes all of this, he says, now you've paid the jizya, the Islamic State protects you as a Christian. That's it. Oh Muhammad, if a non-Muslim army attacked Arabia, do we have to fight? No. You stay at home, we as Muslims will defend you. Imam Amir al-Mu'min walks one day, sees a church, and his companion sees the church. Now, Muslims today, when we look at the church, automatically you'll find some of us will say, shirk, shirk. 3 in 1. So the companion says, I wonder how much shirk is being done there. To which Imam says, I wonder how much Allah is being worshipped in there. Why look at the cup half empty? Look at it half full. Not all Christians believe in a Trinitarian. There's Unitarian, there's Trinitarian. There's a reason they're called Unitarian, Trinitarian. There's the Church of Latter-day Saints, who do not take Rasulullah as a prophet, but say he's a man of morality. Can I then group all Christians as mushrik? Because sometimes people ask, when it comes to the issue of eating the food and this, but they are this, they are that. Well, you can't group all of them in one. They're all denominations. Some believe in the oneness of God. Some believe in the Trinitarian. Different. Even with the Jews, when the Quran said, Ya Ahl al-Kitab is not just Christians. The Jews are my brothers. I differ with a political ideology, yes. But in Islam, don't we have racist political ideologies? In Judaism, you have racist political ideologies. Both religions have racist political ideologies. Do I then generalize over everyone because he's Christian or he's Jewish that they're all the same? No. And you all heard the story. Imam is walking towards Kufa and a Jewish man's walking. Where are you heading? Imam says, I'm going to Kufa. Jewish man, where are you going? I'm going to my city. Walking. Jewish man gets near the city. And he turns around to Imam Amir al-Mu'min and says, I thought you were meant to be going Kufa. So Imam says, yes. He says, so why have you come with me all this way? He said, because the rights of the traveling companion in Islam is that he has to wait for permission to be given before he can leave. This person said, I'm amazed. Thank you. Now you could go. So Imam said, thank you. He turned around and went back towards Kufa. As he's leaving, another Jewish man came. He said, do you know who that was? The Jewish man said, no, a humble man. I don't know his name. He said, that's Ali, son of Abu Talib. He said, that's Ali ibn Abi Talib, Khalif of the Islamic State. He said, yeah, that's him. He said, how comes he came to our Jewish area? He said, because he said to me that the right of a traveling companion is that you cannot leave him until he gives you permission. I hadn't given him any permission. And we put Ali ibn Abi Talib as number 4. Fantastic. So, the second area is what? The second area is with our brothers in humanity. The third area is the fantastic area, the beautiful area, which says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. Now someone says, hold on, the word ikhwa is normally for blood brothers. How comes it's being used in this verse for the mu'minun? The reply is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to show our relationship with our believing brothers is even higher than the relationship with our blood brothers. Hence the word ikhwa being used. And even the word innama, which in Arabic grammar would refer to adat has. There's like a squeezing of an attribute here. Here, the squeezing of this attribute of this kafa makfufa, this squeezing of an attribute. What is the squeezing of the attribute that is taking place? It's for you, if you ask me, am I a mu'min? Then a mu'min, his sign is that he's always a brother of another mu'min. Don't tell me you're a mu'min but you hate brotherhood. No. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمَ الرِّجْسَ إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ. إِنَّمَا, at the beginning there's a squeezing of a particular attribute on something. Has. Squeezing. Or an attribute on a particular group or personality or trait. And you found the Prophet when he came, as soon as he came in that land of Medina, when he came, the narrations say to us quite beautifully that when he entered Medina, the first thing he did when he entered Medina, what was it? Let's make brotherhood between the believers. Why? Because naturally, if I've come from Mecca, I've left my house to come to Medina. And these Medina people see me taking a particular role. I feel a bit inferior. There could be a tension. If now, for example, all the people from the community in, let's say, Nairobi, all of them came one day to Dar es Salaam. Now I think 85-90% of us will be like, welcome. But there's going to be 10% saying, who's these Nairobi people coming here? What's he doing here? How comes he's suddenly got the microphone? I've been in this jama'ah for 90 years. And now he's got the microphone. There's going to be a 10% who are going to be a bit tense. Because Nairobi, the poor mosque, something happened to it, let's say. That complex fell, and that big ground they have next to it, everything got destroyed. So all of Nairobi came here. And the really staunch Dar es Salaam Jama'at members are like, what's these Nairobi boys doing here? There's 10% who will always have this, by the way. In London, Haji Murtala is here. Will tell you very well that sometimes you may have two communities. If they see a group coming from one, they're like, what's these guys doing here? Or it could be the other way around. Rasulullah straight away, as soon as he entered Medina, Muhajirun please come, Ansar please come, Ta'akhaw fillahi akhawain. Become brothers of one another. Abu Bakr, Kharija bin Zuhair, come together. Ammar, Aitan bin Malik, come together. Uthman, Aus bin Thabit, come together. Ya Rasulullah, and Ali is my brother. And he is to me like Aaron was to Moses. So you found that the Prophet straight away, and not only that, the Prophet began to instill acts of ibadah, acts of worship, which were to bring brotherhood. As we always say, which is greater? Salah, which is singular, or salah in jama'ah? Jama'ah. Salah, which is singular, is good. But jama'ah, shoulder to shoulder with each other. Like an army, like a unit. And even further than that, fasting, mustahab fast. Recommended fast. Someone comes to offer me, aren't I meant to take? If it's a mustahab fast. So I please my brother. Hajj. Do all of us, some of us wear black ihram, some of us wear blue ihram, some of us wear green ihram, some of us wear orange ihram. Or do we all wear white? White. Do you know when you wear white, who's the ambassador, and who's the king, and who's the professor, and who's the brother who's just swept. They're all wearing white. The idea was to instill a sense of brotherhood in the Muslim community. There's these beautiful lines of poetry which one Persian poet narrated, which have been translated, where he says, the goal of union and coalition is to gather the powers. Since when drops of water gather, then they form a powerful river. Nothing comes about from a drop, however the river unity runs strong. Any benefit that can be imagined comes about from that river of unity. A fish can never be seen in one single drop of water. How is it then from the river whales can come about? A loaf of bread can never be made from a single head of wheat. But when gathered together and thrashed, it brings out all of its prosperity. It is impossible for individuals, one by one, to take on a great task. However, from uniting together, anything that is desired can be accomplished. Unity and coalition can be seen in the way the ants gather together. In the words of the Shaykh, glory is strong, captive and temporary. However, when separation occurs to a community that is together, they become just like the stories of the Sufis, the Sayyid and the Mullah. You find that when you have unity in a community, then nobody can break you. One stick, you can break it. A bundle of sticks, unbreakable. Whereas in our Muslim communities today, we have petty disputes which are causing disunity. The Quran came with the ethical message, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ. The believers are brothers of one another. And that's why you find that the Prophet, before he passes away, stressed on this. In the farewell pilgrimage, you find, when he talks in Mina, what does he say? إن دماءكم وأموالكم وأعراضكم عليكم حرام كحرمة يومكم هذا كحرمة يومكم هذا وبلدكم هذا وشهركم هذا. Notice the words, vital to understand them. Unquestionably your lives and your properties and your reputations are all sacred, just as this day of yours, this land of yours and this month of yours. What do we have? Our properties, our lives, our reps. Properties, many of us are good at looking after. And we look after the property of our brothers. Sometimes we're a bit negligent. The rent is due at the end of the month, but because he's a Muslim brother, I'll be late with him. Wallah, if he was a non-Muslim, I'd give it to him before he wants it. With our Muslim brothers, the property is to be honored. Whereas sometimes you find, unfortunately, that when it comes to the rent at the end of the month, because he's a Muslim brother, we will cause havoc for him. If he was someone from the locals, we know we'd get in trouble, so we give. But because a Muslim brother is someone honorable, we come late. Our property, our lives, and our reputations, when it comes towards another mu'min, I shouldn't go around trying to destroy his reputation. Do you know how many people there are? Wallah, you'll see them coming to the mosques. And they'll come, and they'll talk about Islam, and they'll sit up there on the pulpits. Not on the ground. Wallah, you people on the ground, you're pure. You're pure. No disrespect, of course, man. You on the ground below the mimbar are pure. Sometimes it's the ones who sit on the pulpit who are the troublemakers. Sometimes, I'm being very kind. I tell you, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ is only lip service today, wallah. I swear it is lip service. Nothing more. There are people who come and sit on the pulpit. All their intention when they sit there, how can I slander another Muslim? How can I slander another mu'min? And now, mashallah, we have reached a good spiritual stage we have. A really good spiritual stage. Do you know what spiritual stage we've reached now? Now we're not scared of naming names on Mimbar. What a beautiful spiritual community we are. Excuse me, this pulpit which you're sitting on, this pulpit is meant to be for 14 personalities who you're meant to honor. And 123,999 before them. And the Lord who created them in His holy book. What are you doing coming and causing trouble in communities? And I wish the lectures have substance. I wish. Wallah, sometimes you get people sitting up there. There's no substance. All it is troublemaking. All it is. But people love troublemakers. It's entertainment. This Quran does not believe it's entertainment. This Quran said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. And I tell you, that it's all well and good wearing the clothing of Ja'far al-Sadiq. There's many who wear that clothing. But try and act like him as well. And I tell you something which is even more interesting. When we see the clothing, could be someone who's not done anything for you. Straight away, humility like this. Let them earn the reputation. Earn. Don't give it easily. Earn. Too many are getting away with good clothing and with absolutely no substance. Today, you can wear clothing without any studies. Let me just reassess when I went to university. I need to take a few steps back. When I went to university, when you graduate, you wear a garb and a turban. Do you remember? You know what they wear in university when you graduate? It's from Imam al-Sadiq. Imam al-Sadiq, if you graduated from his school in Kufa, what do you wear? Just reflect. What do you wear? When you graduate from university, don't you wear a hat and a garb? So can someone please tell me why today every Tom, Dick and Harry is wearing a garb without having any studies? إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً means that the role of the person who sits on the pulpit isn't to destroy, but is to unite. When I therefore see that you find that the Prophet says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ فِي تَرَاحُمِهِمْ وَالتَّعَاطُفِهِمْ بِمَنْزِلَةِ الْجَسَدِ الْوَاحِدِ إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْهُ عُضْوٌ وَاحِدٌ تَدَاعَى لَهُ سَائِرُ الْجَسَدِ بِالْحِمَى وَالسَّهْرِ. What does the Prophet say? He says the believers in relation to mercy and compassion and affection are the same as one body. If one part of the body is feeling pain, then it complains about this pain to the other parts of the body through fear and hurt. In another hadith, مَنْ أَصْبَحَ وَلَمْ يَهْتَمْ بِأُمُورِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ فَلَيْسَ بِمُسْلِمٍ. The one who wakes up and is not concerned about the affairs of Muslims is not a Muslim. The ummah is one body. How can I come and sit on pulpits to destroy reputations? I'm destroying the ummah, aren't I? And I tell you, I in my own eyes saw someone from the students of Al Muhammad who was a revert commit suicide because of rumors about him by people in his profession. And I saw people isolated from mosques. And I saw people banned from our communities. If we're going to continue like this, then who's going to sit on the pulpit? Who's going to sit anymore? If people are isolating people and banning people, who's going to sit? We might as well, none of us come and sit. And the Prophet would say, الْمُسْلِمُونَ تَتَكَافِئُ دِمَاؤُهُمْ وَتَسْعَى بِذِمَّتِهِمْ أَدْنَاهُمْ وَهُمْ يَدٌ عَلَى مَنْ سِوَاهُمْ. The Prophet would say, the worth of the blood of the Muslim is equal to another Muslim. And even the smallest trust that is given from one of them to another must be honored. And in the face of foreigners, they are all united together and are one force. We are meant to be one force. If a non-Muslim sees Maulana X saying this guy is a kafir, and Maulana Y saying this guy should be banned from your communities, and Maulana Z saying this person's beliefs are not correct beliefs, the non-Muslim will say, you guys, before I join your religion, sort your things out. We must beware. Look at the beauty of the time of our sixth Imam. Abu Hanifa sits in his class. Malik sits in his class. Sufyan al-Thawri sits in his class. Others of the greats who led other schools in Islam sat under Ja'far bin Muhammad because Ja'far bin Muhammad went around doing takfir, or because Ja'far bin Muhammad went around saying, come and embrace. The Quran in this verse then went on, it didn't stop there. Quran said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ أَخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. Believers are brothers of one another. Make peace and harmony between them. If now we face a problem in our community, I can either hang the people on the washing line for the public to enjoy, or I could say, let's have a discussion behind closed doors, brothers. Let's lock the door and have a good discussion. Bring the people who are renowned in our communities as people of good knowledge and spirituality and piety. Maulana, president. Notice how I say Maulana, president, teacher of madrasa. Someone says, what do you mean, said Ammar? I only want Maulana. No. Bring the teacher of the madrasa because he has as much wisdom sometimes, if not more. Someone will say, what do you mean? I say every human has experiences in life. Make use of them. If I see Haji Manzoor here sitting in front of me, I know he's been sitting in this seat for years. He's seen things. Why shouldn't he be in a committee sitting and discussing this issue? Why should it only be me and Sheikh? Why not bring someone of the wise people in the committee? Come and sit. Let's discuss. I come, I sit, Quran says, I begin my whole discussion from the Quran. فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. The Quran is ordering us, bring unity between the brothers. Let's sit down. Unity between our brothers. One day, Mufaddal ibn Umar, companion of our sixth Imam, hears Abu Hanifa and his son-in-law have a major dispute. Major dispute. Over how much? Over a paltry sum. Sometimes these disputes are small. If we let them go in the community, they become great. Don't let them go in the community. Community is waiting with the chai. Give him the chai, give him a couple of biscuits, then he is waiting for rumors to begin. Don't give to the community, give to the people, leaders of the community. Mufaddal bin Umar came, he said, what's the issue? He said, over this much money. Mufaddal said, that's it. He said, take the money. Are you two now back together? Abu Hanifa said, may Allah bless you, Mufaddal. He said, no, say may Allah bless Ja'far bin Muhammad. Because my teacher taught me this. When you see brothers quarreling, try and bring. Because forget having fear of the community, have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so therefore you would find that this verse would begin with what? Would begin with the idea of peace and harmony between brothers, and how important it is in the Muslim community. For Allah the end says, when you do all this, I will show you my rahmah. And if Allah removes His rahmah from us, can we survive as a community? All our existence is because of Allah's mercy. True? Every day we begin Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We don't begin Bismillah Shadid al-Aqab. If we began Bismillah Shadid al-Aqab, I don't think any of us would want to wake up again. Bismillah, the most severe punisher. Bismillah, in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. The Prophet would say, Allah's mercy is split into 100 portions. One of them is in dunya, the other 99 will be in qiyamah. 99 in qiyamah, on the day of judgment. One in dunya. So my eyesight and my ability to smell and hear and taste and see and talk, all of that is just one. And my parents and my house and my shelter and my knowledge is one. And on the day of judgment, the other 99. But if we want this rahmah in our lives, we need to be a mercy to mankind like our Prophet was a mercy to mankind. Let's pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the unity returns to our communities. And inshallah tomorrow we go to arguably the most interesting part of the chapter, when Allah begins to talk about how women shouldn't slander women and how we shouldn't have nicknames for each other.